Have you ever wondered why your life keeps encountering misfortune? Why sometimes just a single careless word can bring trouble upon yourself? And have you ever questioned why some people live in constant anxiety, suffer from lingering illnesses, or face unexpected disasters? All of these things may not be accidental. There are invisible forces more powerful than fate itself. That is karma. Among the countless types of karma humans can create, there are two of the heaviest kinds, like great burdens that bind our lives to suffering, keeping the mind restless and the body uneasy. Human life is like a rushing river. There are calm bends where the water gently reflects the radiant sunlight. But there are also rapids where the water breaks in a white foam, sweeping away anything fragile caught in its flow, whether by accident or intention. Likewise, each person's life is a journey where every thought, word, and action creates undercurrents in the stream of karma. What we do today flows into the future, shaping what we will receive. Among the endless karmas a human can create, there are two that are the heaviest, like two massive rocks blocking life's river, preventing water from flowing freely and keeping the soul from being at peace. So what are these two karmas? If one commits them unintentionally, is there a way to lessen their weight? Or will we forever be trapped in the cycle of rebirth? Listen carefully, for understanding this may help you change your own destiny. The first is verbal karma, an invisible blade that cuts through countless lifetimes. Under the fading moonlight, there are words that vanish into the darkness before they are spoken. But there are also words that, though spoken only in passing, stay etched in someone's heart forever. Human words are as light as the wind, yet as sharp as a blade. One sentence could be a soothing breeze that comforts a suffering soul, but it can also be an invisible knife piercing someone's heart, a wound that never heals. Do you remember the last time someone said something that warmed your heart for an entire day? Or the time a single phrase kept you awake countless nights? There are wounds caused by knives that can heal, but some wounds caused by words follow us for life. There's a story about a boy who was quick-tempered and careless with his speech. One day, his father handed him a bag of nails and said, "Each time you hurt someone with your words, hammer a nail into the wooden fence behind the house." On the first day, the boy hammered more than 20 nails. Gradually, as he practiced restraint, the number decreased. When the boy finally learned to be careful with his words, his father said, "Now pull every nail out." The boy happily did so. But when he looked at the fence full of holes, his father gently said, "Even after an apology, your words leave marks like these nails. The scars remain and can never be erased. Indeed, we cannot take back words once they have been spoken. A lie, an insult, or a false accusation, no matter how one tries to explain, leaves a wound in the listener's heart. Like spilled water, even if collected again, it will never be whole. The Buddha taught, "Do not speak harsh words, for they will return to you. Do not sow gossip, for the wind will carry it back to your own doorstep." We often think karma only comes from killing, stealing, or immoral acts. But one of the heaviest karmas is verbal karma. A single word can uplift someone, but can also push them into a deep chasm of despair. Verbal karma is not just curses or insults. Sometimes it is seemingly harmless words that wound deeply, a lie that destroys trust, baseless rumors, malicious gossip, or sarcasm that makes someone lose confidence in themselves that we speak easily. But how often do we pause to ask, is this necessary? Will this hurt someone? If words were stones, throw them into the river, not at someone's heart. Water can wash things away. The human heart cannot. There was once a man who liked to gossip. He exaggerated stories to entertain others. One day, he spread a rumor that a woman in the village was a thief. The villagers believed him and shunned her. Not long after, the truth came out. It was a baseless lie. Heartbroken, the woman left the village forever. The man, filled with regret, sought a monk to ask how he could atone. The monk told him to scatter a bag of chicken feathers throughout the village. He did so. The next day, the monk said, "Now gather every feather back." The man panicked. "I can't. The wind has blown them everywhere." The monk nodded. Words are the same. Once released, they cannot be recovered. That is the karmic law of speech. A word may take only seconds to speak, but its consequences can last a lifetime. Words are not just wind, they are seeds. If we plant seeds of kindness, we harvest fragrant flowers. But if we plant poisonous seeds, one day we will find ourselves surrounded by thorns. If today we use words to hurt someone, can we be sure that the pain won't return us tomorrow? A person who cultivates themselves is not only one who does good deeds, but also one who speaks good words at a timely compliment can revive a weary soul. A gentle encouragement can save a heart in despair. The Buddha taught that kind and compassionate speech brings joy to the listener and blessings to the speaker. Lovely words are like lotus flowers blooming in the mud. Fragrant yet unstained by dust, the loving sentence can change someone's life. A sincere word can open a heart long shut. So, if possible, choose words that bring joy. If you cannot speak kindly, remain silent. To control speech. Ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Does it benefit anyone? If a word is not true, not needed, and not beneficial, it is best left unsaid. Guarding the mouth is guarding one's blessings. Words are like a paper kite. Once the string breaks, you cannot pull them back. The wise are not those who speak much, but those who speak at the right time, in the right place, to the right person. Try living one day without negative words, without gossip, without complaints or resentment. You will find your heart lighter and your life more peaceful. Remember, a word can save a person, but can also ruin a life. Today, what words will you choose? The second is the karma of killing, a blood-stained cycle of rebirth without in this world. No pain is greater than the pain of losing life. Every living being is precious, whether human or tiny creature. An ant fears death. A bird trembles when facing danger. A fish struggling in the net carries extreme terror. Yet humans, out of habit, desire, or ignorance, grant themselves the right to kill, taking the lives of countless beings for taste, for convenience, or simply because ignorance blinds them. Have you ever asked yourself, who am I? Am I this name? No, for this name was given by parents and follows me for life. Am I this body? No, for the body cannot escape birth, aging, sickness, and death. One day it must return to dust. Who am I, wandering endlessly in this world, competing, chasing, suffering through countless cycles? Ask once, who am I, that I remain lost in this long night, forgetting to awaken from the cycle of birth and death? Buddhist scriptures record that when the Buddha was born, he pointed to the sky and the earth and said, above heaven and below heaven, I alone am noble. This does not refer to the ego, but to the true nature, the essence of the cosmos. The Buddha implied that our true self can be found throughout the universe, in the grass and trees, in the fish beneath the river, in the birds soaring in the sky. All things under heaven contain a part of our own flesh and bones. So when we tear a leaf, break a flower, destroy a forest, or shoot a bird, are we not destroying ourselves? When we are angry at someone, fight with someone, or hold hatred toward someone, are we not harming our own being? Therefore, we should love, share, sacrifice, and serve life. We should live for every flower, every blade of grass, and every human around us. This is selflessness. Selflessness does not mean there is no self, but that the self merges into the boundless essence of the universe. The ego, on the other hand, is living only for oneself, and in doing so, losing oneself, losing the true self. If one has never stayed silent, how can one hear the heartbeat of others? If one has never cried, how can one truly smile? If one has never given, how can one know the depth of joy? Sometimes I think about death and the fragility of human life, as if I had just escaped a life and death moment. These thoughts give me the strength to break free from all things superficial. If only one day remained to live, would we still compete, rush, and struggle with life and with others? Would we still allow ourselves to be sluggish, lazy, or careless? Would we still be indifferent, calculating, or insensitive to those around us? Would we still indulge our hearts in meaningless pleasures? Would we still harbor hatred, resentment, or evil intentions? Will we still speak words or commit actions that hurt others? Or will we simply wish for a peaceful morning? To sit under the eaves of our home, to enjoy a simple meal with family, to look deeply into the eyes of our children, to see clearly the weary yet loving expressions of our parents, and to speak words that bring comfort to those we love. When faced with death, even the coldest blood and the iciest hearts warm again. When faced with death, winning or losing, gain or loss, material ambitions and deep-seated resentments suddenly become insignificant and fade into lightness. When time is no longer abundant, we naturally choose what is most precious, that we choose loving and kind thoughts, that we choose to live sincerely and gently with others, that we choose to do meaningful things, that we choose tender words, that we choose gentle eyes with which to view the world, that we choose warm hands to hold the hands of others, that we choose to walk softly so as not to harm the places we pass through. And we choose calm, gentle breaths that help us listen to life more deeply. Knowing this, why do we still fail to master ourselves? Why do we allow ourselves to be swept away by negativity, by gain and loss, by worldly temptations? In those moments, let us remember this. The way to love everything in this harsh world is to remember that everything will one day disappear. Truly, everything will vanish. Each morning when we awaken, let us live as if today is the last day of our lives. This thought encourages us to see life with loving eyes, to live with gratitude, and to give our best. For we never know if we will have another chance to say thank you, to say sorry, or to do the things our hearts long for. If tomorrow morning we are still able to see the sun, let us remember to thank life with all our hearts. The heavy rain last night kept me awake. I sat quietly with a pot of tea for an hour. Perhaps someday I will miss these youthful days deeply, that I will miss everything that shaped me, who forgot me, who loved me, who resented me. All of it will fade like fleeting memories. Last night, dreams felt so close again, fragile and trembling. The mortal world is delicate. Memories and recollections abound, that I suddenly felt emotional, realizing the ancient path I am treading. People speak endlessly about impermanence and the fragility of life. But what is impermanence? What is fragility? I only wish to be a wanderer, curling my body to sleep peacefully in this fragile dream of life. Yes, I love words like fragile, floating, drifting. I love the rustle of remnants, the vastness of emptiness, the heaviness of bygone days. Someone returns over the crest of drifting clouds, shaking off worldly burdens. I wander, wavering in the echo of emptiness calling to dusty roads, forgetting even the dew and moonlight with a touch of heartlessness. Once burdens are laid down, everything is forgotten. Perhaps the only thing I betray is my own long childhood, whose nameless sadness rolls itself into a fleeting dream. Learning to forget allows us to release the burdens and sorrows inscribed by time. Life continues in a long chain of lives. Some clutter and vanity must be put down at the right moment. Some naive things must be picked up in the right place. Sometimes I even fear losing the ability to forget, so I try to remember I have a mind and a heart. You also have a mind and a heart. The heart is for feeling and for loving. The mind is for understanding and remembering. To love someone is difficult, but to truly understand them is even harder. That I am for life a seeker, one who yearns, one who remembers the endless world. Everyone who appears in my life brings me a lesson of encounter. Good people give me joy, peace, and happiness. Those not yet good give me experience and wisdom. Right or wrong, I still thank life, for destiny, for reunion across lifetimes, that on the bustling roads of life, have we ever unknowingly passed by each other. That's life. Destiny between humans is both strong and fragile, that we meet to cherish a scent, then turn away and become strangers. Thus, I remind myself to treasure every encounter. Who knows? One meeting may be followed by endless separations. Human life is as fleeting as mist. Those we meet now may have met us countless lifetimes ago. That is why, in this life, we meet again by chance along this dusty, turbulent world. I am someone who walks through this world unnoticed. Sometimes I see myself as an anonymous artist, that I believe in fate, in karmic connections, that I believe in predestined lives, in reincarnation, and that every meeting is a reunion across time. Each person we meet has likely owed us something, or we have owed them something, over countless lifetimes. Those with lingering ties will meet again. Meeting does not necessarily mean loving or possessing. Sometimes meeting simply means exchanging a smile, giving each other faith in life. But in the realm of worldly love, people feel the need to swear eternal vows, to be jealous, to flutter with emotion, to lose sleep, to suffer for each other, to go through 9,982 trials before awakening. Like the young man named Tri who endured 81 lifetimes yet had not awakened, still awaiting one more trial to fulfill a love in the next life. If in this life we do not walk together, let us blame it on fleeting fate, on sudden, broken promises, on life, on circumstances, but not on each other. This life, having met and loved even halfway, is already a blessing for stubborn hearts that we must sometimes force ourselves to let go, to drift apart, to release each other for the sake of tomorrow. The river of love stretches for miles. The ocean of illusion spans thousands of fathoms. On the Naiha Bridge, countless times souls come and go through the cycle of reincarnation, boats crossing the river of forgetfulness. Thereafter, drinking Meng Po's soup, they forget all love and sorrow of this life to reincarnate into the next. Until one day, in a dream, we find ourselves wandering into the fairy cave. In that cave is the stone of 3 lifetimes, on which are inscribed our karmic ties of past, present, and future. In the dream, we awaken startled, wanting to erase all memories, wanting to wipe away our footprints from this entangled mortal world. Its attachments, longings, love and hate, sorrow and joy, deceit and desire. We try to erase them, but cannot. Everything follows the law of karma. Debts must be repaid. Unfinished bonds will bring reunion. Plant bad seeds, harvest bad fruit. Give, and you will receive. Human life drifts like floating clouds and wandering water. Gathering and dispersing are simply the ordinary scenes of life. Happiness depends on conditions. Just live naturally. No infatuation, no attachment, no sorrow, no joy, just calm and serene. Neither adding nor subtracting, living lightly in peace. When a connection ends, do not cling. Fate is simple. The foundation lies in how long we can truly preserve it for one another. Whatever is meant to come will come sooner or later. Whatever has passed, let it go. Whatever happens, we must learn to understand our own place in life in order to treat one another kindly. Resolve difficulties with compassion and forgiveness. When he first attained awakening, the very first truth the Buddha taught was the suffering inherent in life. Suffering in material things, in the mind, in the nature of existence itself. Suffering that carries from one lifetime to the next, that I am no longer bewildered by the upheavals of life. In this world, nothing is impossible. Just live with a calm heart. Conditions come and go. Life and death follow their destined course. Life is simply like that. In recent years, I have found a certain freedom within my soul, realizing that I no longer fear or grieve as much as before. Whatever happens to me or to my loved ones, I can still find tranquility within myself. If I cannot be at peace, how can I bring peace to those I love? As musician, Po Kwong received his nearly 70th birthday greetings and released his book Ordinary Stories and Fleeting Memories. A reporter asked him what he still cared about at the threshold of 70. He replied, "What I care about is caring for nothing at all. If I'm focused on my work, I pay no attention to anything else." One must meditate for oneself. We must learn to live for ourselves, to love ourselves after so many years of loving others. Do not blame or resent anyone. Just follow the natural law of conditions. What is yours will eventually be yours. What is not yours will forever not belong to you. Schemes and hatred only make life suffocating, tearing apart human affection. It is true that everyone has an ego, and that ego merely seeks to affirm its own existence. But the ego always goes hand in hand with joy, anger, love, and hate, and thus we suffer endlessly. When we suffer, our hearts close. And when the heart is closed, the mind loses the chance to learn, to understand, to love. When someone was asked what happiness is, they replied, "Happiness means that what is perfect in life has been fulfilled, completed, and found." Many people strive to become more perfect, believing perfection will bring happiness. But in truth, we can still be happy even without perfection. The story goes that once upon a time, there was a circle very proud of its flawlessly perfect shape down to every millimeter. One morning, it woke up startled to find it had lost a large triangular wedge. Grief-stricken, it set off on a journey to find the missing piece. Because it was no longer perfect, it rolled very slowly. On its journey, from sorrow over its imperfection, it gradually shifted to delight, basking in warm sunlight, listening to birdsong on the branches. It admired the flowers blooming brilliantly by the roadside and shared gentle conversations with insects that it saw many wonderful things. It found many pieces, but none truly fit. So it continued searching. After many days and months, one day the circle finally found a perfectly fitting piece. It trembled with joy. Now it was perfect once again. It fitted the piece in and began to roll. But suddenly, why was it rolling so fast? So fast that the flowers blurred before its eyes. The chatter of insects faded in the wind. The circle realized the world had changed completely now that it was rolling too quickly. So it stopped, set the perfect piece down by the road, and continued rolling slowly with its now imperfect form. The lesson the circle gives us is that we do not need to be perfect to feel happy. If what you seek is money, then all you can ever receive is money, nothing more. Happiness is a purely subjective feeling, reflected in your contentment with life, the way you perceive the world around you, the peace and calm within your soul, not necessarily in wealth or possessions. The Buddha taught that human suffering often arises from greed, anger, and ignorance. Therefore, to live happily, one should let go of excessive desires and accept imperfection as an essential part of being human. Letting go is the hallmark of wisdom. Only by letting go can one be happy. Simplify complex matters and life becomes lighter and more serene. Not complicate simple things. The once innocent heart, why should it gather misery? Rain then sunshine, sunshine then rain. Life remains the same. It is the turbulence of our hearts that brings pain. Watching all things flow in the river of impermanence. Behold, even the carefree flower remains beautiful amidst change. Great joy will gradually fade, and deepest sorrow will eventually find its way to healing. Knowing this, do not boast in today's success, nor sink into despair during misfortune. Why do children cry often but rarely feel sorrow, while adults laugh outwardly yet hold tears in their hearts? Children quarrel today, tomorrow they sit together again. Adults forgive, yet continue to bring old wrongs back to mind. It is rare to find peace outside ourselves. Peace can only be found within. Day after day passes, people come and go. Only love and compassion remain across mountains and rivers. I vow, with each breath, to smile freshly, to learn to see life with the eyes of mindfulness, to understand the suffering of all beings, to cultivate compassion, joy, and equanimity. Each morning to bring someone joy, each evening to help someone ease their pain, that I vow to live a life of few desires, a wholesome and peaceful life that nurtures a healthy body. I vow to let go of worries, to learn forgiveness and tolerance so that my mind may be light. I vow to repay the deep gratitude I owe to parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to practice diligently so that the tree of compassion and wisdom may bloom. And one day, may I have the capacity to help all beings transcend suffering, that I pray that the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha bear witness and support us in fulfilling these great vows. When the Buddha was still a prince, he lived a life of luxury, wealth, and royal authority. attended by servants, blessed with a beautiful wife and a dutiful child, with warm blankets and soft cushions, protected by loyal guards. Yet he renounced everything to seek peace, freedom, and inner liberation for himself and for others. After enlightenment, he walked barefoot, wearing coarse robes of hemp, that he ate one meal a day, slept under trees, had no wife or children, living the life of a mendicant. Through profound understanding and a compassionate heart, he guided kings and clans, such as King Bimbisara, King Uddhishthira of Magadha, King Pasenadi of Kosala, and the tribes of the Bulis in Alakapa, the Lichavis in Visali, the Mallas in Pava, the Kolyas in Ramagrama, and closest of all, the Sakyas in Kapilavastu. Perhaps most well known is how the Buddha transformed Angulimala, the ruthless murderer, and Sundari, the breathtakingly beautiful woman who caused countless men to lose honor and destroy their homes, Kundala, the low-caste night soil collector, Javaka, the famous physician, and Anathapindika, the wealthy benefactor. People prostrated before the Buddha not because of authority, but because of boundless compassion and clear wisdom. Only the Buddha's infinite love could embrace all beings of every class, rich or poor, foolish or wise, weed or flower, all held gently within his limitless compassion. And because of that boundless love, he inscribed the sutras onto each person's heart, awaiting the moment when those with affinity would read, understand, and find true refuge and peace. And so I ask myself vaguely, what am I searching for in this life? Those who know contentment are often joyful, even amid hardship, for their way of living is free from worldly entanglement. The chanting of sutras in quiet meditation halls gives me moments of remembrance. Knowing that the world can never be perfectly fulfilled in both directions, I only hope that kind-hearted people like you and me may find a peaceful place, to live a simple life, free from schemes and calculations. Somewhere in the distance lies the gentle, compassionate shadow of the Buddha. I will read to you a romantic yet heart-wrenching verse from the golden page of the Dalai Lama. How can this world ever be perfect in both ways, neither failing the Tathagata nor disappointing people? To live such a life would be wonderful. Add a bit more love, lessen a bit of anger and blame. Live without betraying others, nor betraying yourself. On idle days, enjoy the grass, the fields, the paddies, and when the night is quiet, read the scriptures under a soft lamp. Such is a peaceful human life. Coming all this way from mountain to sea, I have yet to find the mythical dewbong leaf, only seeing the misty horizon, fading in each fleeting moment, blurred and extinguished like fragile raindrops falling softly, humming an ancient melody. With a peaceful stride into Vimalakirti's realm, once a tear silently asked the rising wave, "You and I share the same salty taste." You found comfort resting upon the shore, while my life dripped into the soul's ache. Because to live is also to erase everything, pain, sorrow, restless nights. You let things fall outside. I keep them within, so spring arrives, but my heart remains in winter's sleep. Though we share the same salty taste, the way we accept things differs. Life is full of suffering, yet we have the right not to suffer. Knowing how to let go, I transcend sorrow. Hope had begun to darken into despair, because reunion hides the seed of separation, because idolization eventually breaks into disillusion, because one keeps searching and thus never recognizes happiness. Life often falls short of expectations. Dreams are many, reality only so much. You keep building castles in the sand and display your losses in the fading light of dusk. Tears, though small in form, contain oceans of feeling, and waves, though vast, still carry tiny sorrows like mourning DWI in this life. Honesty and kindness are always essential to each of us. Kindness is the bright moon residing in every soul. That gentle moon can illuminate the sky of the spirit, soften hearts, transform anyone who walks beneath its light. A kind thought is a seed, a kind heart is a flower, and kind actions are the sweet fruit. Every person is born with a seed of kindness. If nurtured daily, it may grow into a great tree. Yet some people lose that seed and slowly become cold and indifferent. Others soil it, becoming cruel and heartless. There is no one who does not need kindness, nor anyone who cannot be touched by another's goodness. Even hearts hard as steel, cold as ice, will one day soften under a glimmer of human warmth. Doing good is not like depositing money into a bank account. A truly kind person does not care about profit or return. The highest state of kindness is to not care about results or rewards. Reflect upon the river of your mind. If you smile, the reflection smiles with you. In the same way, living a virtuous life, trusting that happiness will return in time. Be true to yourself. Learn to accept who you are, and always smile with the life you have and with the people around you. Learning to let go, accept, and forgive is the secret to happiness. I present to you the poem, Let It Be. Let it be. Why grieve over worldly words? They are but fleeting tunes upon the lips. Praise is pleasant, criticism painful, yet the affairs of the world drift endlessly. Let it be. Why sorrow over gain and loss? Life's stage rises and falls. Sometimes I am king, sometimes merely a player. Who is wise without once misstepping? All is but fleeting clouds teased by the wind. All matters in this life follow karma. Once understood, worries dissolve. In dreams we know nothing of life's illusions, chasing shadows, grasping bait, burdening ourselves. Let be. Do not blame others, do not dwell on their faults. Human nature has always been thus. Who among mortals is entirely saintly? Let it be. Everything will pass. Hatred and greed weigh only upon us. Remove the tinted glasses to lessen suffering. Our eyes often mistake dust for golden blossoms. Living among people for decades, speaking is easy. Silence is difficult. Life flows on. We suffer because we cling. Joy, sorrow, pleasure, pain, all arise from the mind. Sometimes life places before us too many choices. And people, wanting perfection, seek the perfect choice, wanting to be the best, and to choose the best point one day. A young student and an old teacher spoke about perfection. The student passionately described his desire to find what is flawless. The teacher listened quietly, then said gently, "May I ask you to do something?" "Yes, I'm willing." In front of us is a field. Can you pick for me the most beautiful and perfect blade of grass? But there is one condition. You must only walk forward, not backward. The student rose and began his search. At the very first step, he spotted a fresh green blade of grass. He reached out to pick it, then hesitated, for he noticed more beautiful ones further ahead. He continued, second step, third step, fourth, yet whenever he was about to pick one, he would see an even lovelier one ahead. And so he walked quickly across the field in pursuit of perfection, unaware that he had nearly reached the other side. With only a small patch of grass left, he reluctantly chose the best among them and returned to his teacher. His face no longer bright, for he had understood the lesson. He quietly offered the blade to the teacher. The teacher smiled gently, invited him to sit, and said, "You see, if you had been content and not searched endlessly, you would have had a more perfect blade than this." Many people live like that, forever choosing, forever missing precious opportunities, only to regret afterward. Think about today's story. Dear student, that to say it exists, even a speck of dust counts as existence. To say it does not exist, even the whole world becomes nothing. Existence and non-existence are like the moon reflected in water. Do not cling to what is. Do not insist that what is not is not. If one says it exists, then even a grain of dust exists. If one says it does not, then the whole universe is empty. Existence and non-existence are like the moon and water. Do not cling to either being or non-being. This is a verse by a Vietnamese Zen master of the 11th century, Tu Dao Han. The four lines stand between being and non-being, both ontological and perceptive, leading to the conclusion: do not be trapped in either. When Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara contemplated deeply the world of phenomena, he suddenly realized everything lacks inherent nature. Form, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, dermas, all are provisional designations. This exists because that exists. This ceases, that ceases. Happiness is made of suffering. Purity is made of impurity. All opposites are created by our own perceptions and discriminations. Existence and non-existence are like the moon reflected upon water. I pondered and sat down with a trembling heart. Though the mind seems unmoving, it is moving. I struck a match. The dim candle flickered to life. It's light enough to stir mystery, enough for me to feel the heaviness of my own footprints, footprints still hurried in the vast wilderness of this dusty world. The table sank into deep silence, echoes rising, awakening the four corners of emptiness. Ancient sorrows lamenting to their shadows, winter long forgotten by the boundless void. No more scriptures, no more dust to sweep, no guardian for the gate of meditation. Only breath and an unending smile. Faith keeps life warm. Tonight, a faint awakening stirs, warming the cold darkness. Let the candle burn, burn away the loneliness of the night. My body has withered, time has whitened my hair through countless seasons. I return to silent memories, to inner transformation, to fragments of affection and remembrance, a life tinged with tenderness for the world. Outside, the mist thickens, enveloping everything in white. My mortal eyes lack the strength to see far. I can only see the nearby scenery lying still, and my body feels a cold, subtle breath surrounding it. Being able to sit quietly is a special privilege to me. I can sit alone for hours without feeling bored. The more I sit, the more clearly I see my own mind. People think I live too leisurely and should find something to do. But I believe that in this life, everyone has their own task. Life is heavy with material burdens, so one must toil with the body. The way purifies bad habits, so one must rely on a mind. My time, my way of living, and my thinking exists simply so I can sit, listen, and contemplate the nothingness, the being, the repetitive coming and going of certain notions and phenomena. Many times in life, we are not aware enough to master ourselves, and those things pull us along. Those things are afflictions, greed, anger, blame. I sit to observe them, these habitual tendencies within me. The I present here is not truly me, let alone the notions of mine. I read the Sutra on the 8 recollections of great beings. The first awakening is that life is impermanent, and any political regime can easily collapse. The structures of the 4 elements are empty and can cause suffering. Humans arise from the combination of the 5 aggregates, without a true self, constantly changing, illusory, and without sovereignty. Meanwhile, our mind is a spring from which evil arises, and our body is a place where sins accumulate. All things are impermanent, changing, and perishing. Nothing truly exists or lasts forever. Being is only from the perspective of phenomena, non-being from the perspective of essence. A monk once asked, "Does a dog have Buddha nature?" Master Zhaozhou replied, "No." Zhaozhou's no made the monk bewildered, with nothing to cling to. Had Zhaozhou said yes, the monk would have become proud of his understanding and clung even more to his notions. The master's no was like suddenly splashing cool water. No is no beyond the duality of yes and no. Zhaozhou's language is the language of prajna, moving from mystic depth into absolute emptiness. Such things cannot be described, boundless, measureless, inconceivable. I remember in the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha taught that seeking him through form or sound is misguided, for such a person will not see the Tathagata. As I read the sutra, it feels as though the Buddha tears down every concept as he speaks. No sentence, no word is left for us to cling to that a disciple once asked. World-honored one, you teach us the truth, yet the Brahmin ascetics also claim their doctrine is true. So whom should I believe? The Buddha replied, do not hastily believe my words. Believe only what you yourselves see as true. In the end, the drop of ink falls. A blank page reveals thousands of deep pathways. Time fades, and so does the scripture. I left countless paths behind in order to search for myself, to look for rays of hope that warm the frozen winter. Unaware, I became still, as if holding a peaceful sleep, adorning a season of flowers while the silent sky spread mist into the vastness. I warmed my steps as I returned to the wild, profound realm where Master Tuesday, sea once lay listening to the deep silence of heaven and earth and the strange game of humankind. Stones glowed in the sunset, listening to travelers cry over life's play. A soft beam of sunlight cast its shadow along the wall. From that space echoed the curved temple roof, shaped like a sword blade reaching toward the sky. Elegant and ancient, roof tiles reddened, moss gathered thickly, rising and falling beside bamboo branches swaying in the courtyard. There, the Buddha sat serenely, unmoving, with the essence of form and emptiness, mingled with subtle incense echoing through the deep natural mountains. Raindrops formed bubbles breaking over old bricks, scattering along the ancient path where moss glowed green in the early village morning. I looked up at the scripture shelf, still holding the Vinaya, Diamond Sutra, Avatamsaka, Lotus Sutra, and Agamas, yet my heart felt so distant, as so far from the Buddha's footsteps on Vulture Peak, so far from the sun shimmering over stones and scriptures. But perhaps not far at all, for neither going nor arriving are necessary. Did the Buddha not tell Sabatya, where there is form, there is deception? I turned the Diamond Sutra and found Sabatya asking, World-honored one, in the future, if someone hears such words, will they give rise to true faith? The Buddha answered, 500 years after my passing, there will still be those who keep precepts and cultivate merit. Hearing such teachings, they may also give rise to faith and recognize them as truth. Know that they have planted wholesome seeds not only with one Buddha, 2 Buddhas, 3, 4, or 5 Buddhas, but with countless Buddhas of innumerable eons. Anyone who, even for a moment, gives rise to pure faith upon hearing these words, the Tathagata surely knows and sees that person, and that person will obtain immeasurable merit. Why? Because such a one is no longer caught in notions of self, person, being, lifespan, dharma, or non-dharma, of form or non-form. Why? For if one still clings to the idea of dharma, one is still caught in the marks of self, person, being, and lifespan. And if one clings to non-dharma, one is likewise trapped. Thus one should cling neither to dharma nor non-dharma. Therefore the Tathagata secretly taught, know that the dharma I teach is like a raft. Even the dharma must be abandoned. How much more so what is not dharma? Amid layered emptiness, steps unfold like thousands of secret verses carrying sleeping sorrows. The Buddha gives me the precious life of this very moment. Each breath, each smile is a gate to mindfulness and awakening that I am like a butterfly shedding its dream form, leaving illusions behind to seek who I truly am. Still so distant, yet filled with joy. Endless. Do not force yourself to paint your own shadow on the fleeting foam of life in search of true scriptures. Distance arises because affection scatters like falling leaves. I bow down, composing an awkward poem for the rising sun. Leisure rests in emptiness. Its shadow sinks into the water. Leisure leaves no trace, and water holds no stain. Life passes like footsteps sinking into silence, even the silence of sutras and chants. Holding on to a single dewdrop of sadness is merely holding a fragment of emptiness that I am listening to silence return as I breathe gently, evenly, breathing deep, aware of the present. Soft sunlight spreads across the scripture shelves, warming faith. Birds still sing each morning, enough to wake clarity. Tamarind fruits ripen, filling the air with the fragrance of home. Life is forever miraculous, simply because scriptures remain on the shelves, resonating with bells and wooden fish drums. It is said a smile equals 10 medicinal tonics, isn't it? Then why don't we love ourselves more, love life more, and smile at life, at everyone? When the body and mind are exhausted, smiling is difficult. But if we can manage a small smile, the withered flowers of the heart begin to bloom again. When life is harsh, when we endure unfairness, if we can smile, letting go of our heavy heart, we find lightness. Life is full of envy and gossip. Do not live in other people's mouths. Smile softly without a word. Days will pass if someone wrongs us. Smile and grow more magnanimous. This is the Saha world. People are prone to creating karma. When suffering wanders heavily, try a smile of optimism. If we live kindly, heaven never blocks our path. Let love reign. Let each day deepen the meaning of life. Let the heart be as wide as the sea. Let the smile nourish hope. Even a president remains poor if lacking the wealth of a smile. Suffering is one thing, but one who removes joy from their heart loses happiness. Have you smiled today? Or has your smile remained sealed through the passing seasons? The wind of compassion carries sutra verses into the human world, calming jealousy, easing rivalry. If meeting is for parting, then anger exists, so forgiveness may exist. For forgiveness is the gate to the garden of compassion. This morning I awoke to find a fresh rose on the table, and my heart suddenly felt softer. As I grow older, I learn more about forgiveness. I no longer choose the path of the sword, nor the path of the fist. The sword's path is too sharp, too straight. The fist path flexible, but full of schemes. That I walk the path of love through the small doorway of forgiveness that I in life. Some things belong to us and some do not. I suffer because I desire too much. I want everything for myself. And when giving is only to receive in return, I will only receive values lesser than what I gave. All sentient beings follow their own laws of compensation. When one person gains something, another may lose something else. I believe life is never unbearably unfair to those who know how to sacrifice. Whatever life takes from you, it will in some way give back to you. What matters is that you know how to be tolerant, open-hearted, compassionate, and generous. You must have much love and much understanding. From understanding comes ease of mind. The more understanding you have, the lighter your heart becomes. Then 1,000 years seem to drift away like a passing cloud. Realizing that bringing joy to others in the morning and easing their suffering in the afternoon is the truth of human kindness, of love, and the true nature of compassion. Giving without expecting anything in return, giving simply because giving is giving. Conversely, selfishness often leads us to a life lacking authenticity, always cautious and defensive, and sooner or later everything falls apart. I have felt this myself. Life is a journey through countless paths of joy and sorrow. In the end, life exists for us to reflect and to learn. The lessons of joy, sorrow, love, pain, gain, loss, failure, and success are given to us for us to awaken us into maturity, that we grow wiser because we learn to pause, aware of that pause, and no longer circle endlessly around meaningless things. Life needs such moments of stillness for us to contemplate it, to place ourselves in the position of another in order to understand their heart. Only when we pause can we clearly see the reality around us. Life is always present, wondrous, right here and right now. Life cannot be separated from the present moment, and to truly grasp the present, one must also know how to let go. But if one cannot grasp the present, what is there to let go of? Therefore, we must live with the present as it is, just as the Dalai Lama teaches. Strength is not measured by how high you lift, but by how gently you set things down. Beauty is not in drawing others toward you, but in knowing how to make them stay. Every separation in life has countless reasons, yet all reasons require compassion. Understanding that we are learning the lesson of letting go is because we have learned to release, to accept the necessity of release. Even if we abandon the body, the world, life, love, or a river, the body, the world, love, and the river will still continue to flow. I have heard that rivers forever follow rivers, streams forever follow streams. As rivers and streams pass, They leave everything behind, as the poet you once wrote. Leaving life, leaving the game of life, leaving the body, leaving status, leaving people, leaving ourselves, leaving today, leaving yesterday, leaving tomorrow, leaving the next day, leaving ourselves, leaving our own shadows. The flow of life meets us by chance at temporary shores. Through trials and prayers, we walk upon the steps of human sorrow. Having or not having, there is no need to rush to heaven. Joy or sadness, there is no need for haste. Applause breaks upon life's stage, carrying us to distant lands where people pass like streams flowing through endless wild forests. I practice becoming a high cloud above the hills, learning detachment without being heartless. Whether this life has affinity or no affinity with another, I remain myself, carrying nothing but forgiveness and compassion. Life already contains too much suffering. Each person bears their own sorrow, far more difficult than we often think. Thus, when you love someone, you must practice deep listening and learn to respect their thoughts. Respecting others is also respecting yourself. Naturally, life is a series of journeys, so we must treat people with kindness to sow blessings and good conditions for our own future. If we understand that life is impermanent, unstable, then there is no need for meaningless grief or anger. I also believe that only through loss do we realize that ordinary days are happiness. Therefore, we must relearn true compassion. A compassionate heart beats in harmony with the rhythm of breath. And so, a compassionate person must always know how to return to their own inner journey, to hear, to see, to think, to feel, to understand, to experience joy and sorrow, and then let the days pass gently, unnoticed. Many times in long nights, I have asked myself what I am doing in this life. Imagine devoting yourself wholeheartedly to becoming a gifted musician, a great politician, a successful entrepreneur, a brilliant engineer, a missionary, a father, or a mother. For what purpose do we do these things? I believe everything has a purpose. The question is whether that purpose is noble or ignoble. A noble person wishes to sacrifice for others. A base person wishes others to sacrifice for them. Human beings must walk alone upon the earth. Enveloped by infinite time and space, I have grown weary of the endless slopes of my own life. My dreams and plans have all faded into hopelessness. Life's burdens always accompany endless thoughts of livelihood. How can we escape the trivialities of the world? Theories and words become meaningless before the ever-changing reality of life. Happiness can never exist when reduced to an empty noun. Happiness is action amid suffering. Without suffering, what material will we have to work with? Without sorrow, how would we understand humanity? Happiness is when you cherish what you already have. We often fail to recognize the precious things in our hands until the day they slip away. Only then do we realize, regret, and wonder why we let them go. And by then, everything seems too late. But truly, in life, nothing is ever too late. As I have said, we must lose something in order to grow. Our actions and thoughts will define our entire future. No one can help our life more than we ourselves. Therefore, never dwell in sorrow, blame, or complaint, and never allow anyone to disturb your inner peace. Life feels long when looking forward, but short when looking back. Short in moments, long in dreams. Oh, do not torment your heart for someone unworthy. Learn to take everything lightly. The past is ephemeral like drifting bubbles on water, like blinking lights in the night, like fleeting shadows in dreams, like a summer cloud that soon dissolves at the end of July. I turned 30. 30, the age where one stands firmly on their own 2 feet. 30 is a time overflowing with intersecting emotions: love, identity, anger, competition, loneliness, sorrow, ideals, ambition, despair, contemplation. 30 is 30 shades crystallizing into a chain of memories. There are friends once very close who now pass by with cold indifference like strangers. There are people you met only yesterday who seem like longtime companions, both strange and familiar at the same time. Somewhere linger the pure memories of long ago. If someone loves and cherishes you, no matter how you live, they will still listen, still value your presence. They will never abandon you in difficult times. That I am the same. I no longer rely on someone who treats me as insignificant. I must learn to rely on myself. Life is skill, growth, and maturing against our former selves. Today we must be better than we were yesterday. Learn to let go of what is not meant for us. Never regret the past. Regret only the time you invested wrongly. Mistakes should not lead to pessimism or bitterness, for all mistakes are healed by time. Walk with your own 2 feet. Let your soul be free in its thoughts. Live freely wherever you wish. Life needs freedom. Freedom like a giant bird gliding peacefully across the morning sky. But freedom must not waste time. Freedom each day in a simple life, in personal happiness, in a mindful heart. In truth, we have plenty of time. We simply squander it. Not long ago, I read a newspaper article that deeply impressed me. There was a cafe with a signboard that said, "We don't have Wi-Fi here. Please talk to the person next to you." How wonderful! Such a beautiful reminder. Freedom is being present, living in the moment, and cherishing those around us. Perhaps smartphones today have taken away much of our freedom. Instead of us controlling them, they unintentionally end up controlling us. We become dependent on them, then try to find at least one excuse to justify our careless and indifferent way of living. Please be truly present with the person next to you. That is what truly matters. That is what it means to be free. The mountain asks the river at dusk why it keeps flowing away without ever returning. The river softly complains that it has already vowed to gather the waters and follow the clouds. And when tomorrow's rain falls upon this land, then it will gather again. That's just how it is. Don't be saddened by separation. When we meet again someday, our smiles will be even more beautiful. Impermanence shelters the essence of truth. The ancient bond has never really been broken. O mountain, the sunlight has already faded. Time has flowed past the eternal bridge. Within the vast realm of causes and conditions, let us meet again beneath the original root one day. Look there, the water has turned in a cloud. The rain falls upon the leaves this evening, and the mountain smiles. Coming and going are merely acts in a play. Awakening from a dream, one lives lightly. A Zen master once said that knowing how to let go of these things is knowing how to live. Letting go of blaming life, letting go of the tendency to control others, letting go of the fear of difficulty before even beginning a task, letting go of perfectionism and self-criticism, letting go of the barriers that prevent change, letting go of the need for attention, letting go of the belief that one is always right, and letting go of living by others' eyes or living so others may look at us. Oh, how many of these 8 things have we managed to let go of? When will our debts to people end? When will we enjoy a truly carefree day? Life's repayments go on, a closed loop that binds human existence. The starting point is from ourselves, not someone else, who can cut the ties and behold the wonder. In modern life, we often hear the phrase go with conditions or follow the flow of causes. But who among us truly understands what it means? It means joyfully accepting what happens in the present, stopping resistance, and calmly waiting for the right causes and conditions to converge. Sometimes this very attitude becomes the essential condition that helps connect with other wholesome conditions. We must not forget that for anything to be accomplished, millions of conditions must come together. Missing even one may prevent success. When we deeply understand this and gain experience, we will know what we should and should not do to allow good conditions to gather again and unfavorable ones to dissolve. We often call good conditions favorable conditions, meaning beneficial circumstances. Unfavorable conditions are adverse conditions, meaning harmful circumstances. Some conditions may be favorable for us, but adverse for someone else, and vice versa. That is only within the realm of human beings, while conditions are endlessly unfolding with all beings in the universe. The nature of conditions is that they are neither good nor bad, neither favorable nor unfavorable. They merely converge or disperse based on the compatibility of energetic frequencies emitted by all things. Yet many people, when encountering favorable conditions, feel happy and want to keep them forever. And when facing adverse conditions, they feel uncomfortable and try to avoid or eliminate them. But favorable conditions do not always bring happiness, and adverse ones do not necessarily bring suffering. Sometimes adversity helps us grow, while favorable circumstances may weaken us. And sometimes conditions that begin as favorable later turn adverse. Likewise, adverse conditions may later become favorable. Often, whether a condition is favorable or unfavorable depends on our strength and attitude toward life. So we need not rush to change the conditions we dislike, nor force the ones we desire to appear. When our hearts are stable enough to generate peaceful conditions, corresponding peaceful conditions will naturally connect with you as the saying goes, like voices resonate, like energies attract. More importantly, when we find vitality within ourselves, we no longer see external values as significant. Any condition is fine. We simply receive it freely and peacefully. The Dalai Lama once said, "Remember that sometimes not getting what you want is a wonderful stroke of luck. Meeting in life is called destiny. Cherishing each other is a present blessing. Those who come, come with kindness. Those who leave, let them go without entanglement." People may mock simple-mindedness. The world may judge one's words. But when we understand the way, we see that all things are fleeting. Some value wealth. I value peace. Possessions in this life mean little, and worries even less. I choose to live a gentle, meditative life. Though some may say that is weak, it is easier to conquer the world outside than to conquer one's lower instincts. It is out of love that we endure. It is patience that brings peace. Cultivating in each thought stops the world from growing seeds of conflict. I choose tolerance and forgiveness. Whether people understand or not, I will not build prisons of resentment. I choose to live honestly, for I cannot deceive myself. A bending tree cannot hide its shape forever. I vow to live simply all my life because I want to return to stillness, to live peacefully with fewer desires, and to be calm amid life's storms. I prefer giving to receiving. Giving brings greater happiness. Even if I am not wealthy, let me always be rich in love. There is a story about an elderly builder. He had worked diligently and professionally for a construction company for many years. One day, he asked to retire so he could enjoy time with his family. The company, reluctant to lose such a skilled and dedicated worker, asked him to build one final house before leaving. He reluctantly agreed. But with this last project, he worked carelessly, choosing poor quality materials as long as the exterior looked presentable. Months later, when the house was finished, the owner handed the old builder the keys and said, "You have served this company faithfully for many years and contributed greatly to its success. To express our gratitude, we give you this very house you have just built." The builder was shocked. Had he known he was building his own house, he would have worked meticulously and chosen the best materials. Now he must live in a house whose flaws only he knows. In life, many people are like that old builder, crafting a flashy, temporary life without caring for its true quality. When we reflect, we may realize we are suffering the consequences of our own past mistakes. We are the architects of our own lives. Our present life is the outcome of past construction. Our future life will be the result of what we build today. So build your life carefully, righteously, and wholeheartedly. At dusk, lying on a mountain rock, listening to birds calling through the forest, hearing the whisper of streams through the wind, I wonder, who am I, wandering lost in this world? There's sayings and proverbs we may already know. For instance, when life gives you a sour lemon, don't fear it. Use it for cooking or make a refreshing drink. If you receive something with pessimism and discouragement, then life's difficulties will feel like sour lemons. But if you receive them with optimism and an open heart, those difficulties become a wonderful glass of lemonade. Whether we frown at a sour lemon or delight in a refreshing drink is entirely our choice. Night deepens, the cool dew falls, smoke and mist soften the air, the heart settles into stillness. alone by myself. Drifting beneath the moon, I quietly wondered, where will the moon belong in the days to come? The morning star shimmered faintly across the arc of the sky, and I felt small, fragile, solitary. Somewhere in the distance echoed a poem of Tran Tun Gang, though I could no longer recall the original text. Only the translated lines by Thich Nhat Hanh remained. Those who came before have passed, those who come after have yet to arrive. Contemplating the vastness of heaven and earth, I stand alone, letting tears fall. Perhaps no one who walks through life can taste sorrow as deeply as Tran Tun Gang did. A sorrow born from the beginningless, endless, boundless flow of time. While human lifetime is so short, so impermanent. Here today, gone tomorrow, nothing lingers. Those who have departed forever will never return. They no longer stir, no longer dream, no longer hope as we who are still alive today. Reading the first two lines makes me think of my own insignificant fate. Those before have gone. Those after, I do not know who they will be. And those of us in the present continue to drift through the tides of birth and death. Joy and sorrow within the five desires. I recited the poem softly, word by word, rhythm by rhythm, quietly enough for only myself to hear, letting the sound waves dissolve like clouds scattering into the vast, empty sky. From that moment, I saw life like a bird gliding across water, a reflection shimmering for a moment, then gone. Nothing remains but a faint, distant echo. The sky too vast, the winds too scattered. Those before are no more, those after lost along rugged paths. Ancient verses flickered like traces of ink fading into emptiness that I took the meaning and split the verse. Still wrapped in a colorless dream, I reflected on those of the past. They left behind only a simple heart, a small offering of spiritual affinity for those who follow, so that the next generation will not forget them. So at least one person might light incense in remembrance. Sunlight trembled on the stone scriptures. I wondered whether, 3 years after his passing, anyone still remembered Gyungda. These thoughts knocked on the door of my own heart. Nothing preserved, yet already preserved. Nothing left behind, yet already left behind. Both real and unreal, presence and emptiness, dialectics woven as one. Before and after are but the same gate of non-duality. The temple bell sounded softly. The moon still hovered above, bright, serene, lonely. A leaf of late autumn whitened by the season. A thin robe barely shielding the winter night. The pure, mysterious fragrance of the night gathered into a single still point, extending the presence of the phenomenal world. The wooden fish echoed through the hall, each beat clear, slow, graceful. The sound rose and fell, light and hollow, flowing with ease. Its steady rhythm resembled the gentle tide at dawn, its deep resonance like the roar of a lion. Listening wholeheartedly, I felt deeply moved. Venerable A. Nan, wishing to become a Buddha, wishing to save all beings from suffering, wishing to repay the profound compassion of the Buddha, invited the Buddha to witness his vow and offer him guidance. From the crown of his head, the Buddha emitted a radiant beam of light and proclaimed the Ragama mantra. I silently imagined bowing with both palms joined, praying toward the 1,000 stars above, for karmic obstacles to dissolve, for the self to loosen its grip, so the mind might be light enough to transcend suffering. I understood then why, after 49 years of teaching, the Buddha finally declared, "I have never spoken a single word," and why Confucius said that heaven and earth never utter a sound. And then Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching, "We are born with nothing. Everything is negated. Everything is relinquished. Nothing is clung to. To cling is to be trapped, and what is attached to something fragile will collapse along with it. How can the past be grasped? How can a future be held? Formation, stability, decay, emptiness. This is the law. When the Buddha says nothing, he is speaking. When he speaks, he is not trapped by words. Thus he taught extensively, yet humans understood so little. One day, while residing in Kosambi in the Simsapa forest, The Buddha held a handful of leaves and asked his disciples, "Are the leaves in my hand more numerous, or are the leaves in the forest?" The disciples replied, "Lord, the leaves in the forest are far more." The Buddha said, "So too, what I know is vast, but what I teach is only a little. I do not teach the rest because they do not lead to liberation. I only teach suffering, its cause, its cessation, and the path leading to cessation, because these bring peace and freedom." There's a story about the philosopher Socrates. One day someone asked him, "You are a man of great learning. Can you tell me the distance between heaven and earth?" Socrates replied, "About 1 meter." The man was puzzled. "Except for newborns, all of us are taller than 1 meter. If the distance is only that, wouldn't we be touching the sky already?" Socrates continued, "True, but to understand the distance between heaven and earth, one must know how to bow." This small tale teaches a profound truth. Bowing is the right way to conduct oneself in life. Bowing is not flattery or servility. It is wisdom, humility, and an understanding of human nature. We must learn to bow before reality. We must learn to bow before our own mistakes. No one is a saint. All make errors. When we err, we must correct ourselves, yet some lack the courage to admit their wrongs. Bowing is not weakness. It is recognizing a mistake and choosing to amend it. That is the price of growth. To bow before one's own faults is intelligent and decisive, a noble, expansive, and liberated quality. Only by yielding can one straighten. Only by retreating can one advance. Only by softening can one become strong. We must learn to bow when our desires rise. Human wants are endless. Everyone longs for success, recognition, fame. Seeing friends and colleagues rise to high positions while we remain nothing, we grow disheartened. But when we bow our heads and look down, we realize how much we already have, things we failed to notice and thus never cherished. Many spend their whole lives striving upward, only to discover in the end that what they gained was mere illusion, external possessions, not true fulfillment. Those with the smoothest careers, the fastest progress, are often the ones who understand how to bow. With the head always lifted in pride, how can one see the virtues of others to learn from them? When the day has not yet closed, those who trust us, let us not deceive them. Be honest, be clear. When we stumble on a steep path and someone extends a hand, do not forget. Remember the days of hardship, the ones who cared for you. Not trade old affection for new advantage, letting the winds of ambition sweep away sincerity. Sit quietly. After rain comes sunshine. Resentment dissolves into serenity. Not bind yourself with needless chains on this dusty road of life. Live amid storms to understand the sea. As days pass swiftly, we've not too many illusions. Do not chase shadows and lose the substance. Today is what must be kept whole. The world forever turns. The seasons change their robes. Dream upon dream, illusion upon illusion. Let awakening fill you while time still remains. Before life closes its doors, live fully now. Do not wake only when life has become a dream. Time flows. Already summer has arrived. Sitting on the temple veranda, gazing afar, I suddenly remembered the vastness in the eyes of someone I once dreamed of, cherished, longed for, missed. I thought it was all over. Everything just a past moment. A time to love, to remember, to wait, and to forget. Though often I knew that waiting was only waiting, nothing more. Someone once said, "All things follow conditions. When conditions are strong, things flourish. When conditions are thin, they fade." To desire is to suffer. Without desire, no suffering. In the end, everything becomes a faint shadow in this fog-like life. Like a wild goose flying across the sky, its shadow appears, then dissolves into emptiness that a golden beam stretched silently across space. The yellowed sutra page opened, its mystical, wordless truth revealing itself between lines, faint with the presence of the Buddha. The shadows of Zen masters and lay practitioners from ages past seemed to linger here, as if Vulture Peak itself still existed in this place. where sutra chants mingle with bell and wooden fish tones, permeating through branches, stones, and air, sinking deep into the silent depths of consciousness like a vast Dharma assembly. The community bowed in silence. The Buddha spoke, Shariputra, do you know? Since the Buddha Amitabha attained enlightenment, 10 kalpas have passed. And Shariputra, the number of Sravaka disciples who have become arhats under that Buddha cannot be measured. The number of bodhisattvas is just as countless. The pages shimmered with 1,000 illusions as the sutra carried my mind back to the Dharma assembly more than 2,500 years ago. Hearing the Buddha speak about the Pure Land, I learned that in that realm the people live without suffering, enjoying only bliss. There the ground is made of gold, lotus flowers emit their fragrant scent, the waters possess 8 noble qualities, music echoes in the air, mandarava flowers fall like gentle rain, and birds such as peacocks, parrots, and kalavikas often sing their elegant, pure melodies. Each time they sing, people hear teachings on the 5 faculties, the 5 powers, the 7 factors of awakening, and the Noble Eightfold Path. The inhabitants have time to gather flowers to offer to the Buddha. Whenever they hear the bird songs, everyone pauses, collects their mind, and practices mindfulness of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Listening to the Buddha describe it, I wondered how serene and peaceful that Pure Land must be. Not at all like our world of Sasara, where joy is scarce and suffering is abundant. Love is small, hatred is great. Life trembles with impermanence. Here today, gone tomorrow. Thinking of that world, the ascetic silently embraces his wandering journey. We send our sorrow of the passing years there. There were seasons when I drifted away, seeking a way back to the ancient path, yet the ancient path had no direction. On that ancient path, only drifting smoke and mist, sometimes seeming to exist, sometimes not. 1 year has 4 seasons, 12 months, 52 weeks, 365 days, 8,760 hours, 525,600 minutes, 31,536,000 seconds. Moment after moment turns endlessly, stirring my heart with longing, regret, worry, and unrest. Living in the present, yet anxious about the future, grieving the past. Living this life while fearing the next. Living the next life, yet longing for this one, such is the cycle of rebirth. Hardships come and go, countless ups and downs of gain and loss. Looking back, empty-handed, then returning to emptiness again, like a fleeting dream. A person's life is like a Zen scripture. Each of us is a sutra page, a Buddha, and the Buddha is also a person, but one perfected in wisdom and compassion. The Buddha, everyone is good. Everyone has the capacity to transcend chaos, delusion, and worldly entanglements to reach the shore of peace and liberation. I'm no exception. The time has come for me to release the illusions of life and live purely, to nourish myself each day at the gate of emptiness, meditating, chanting, drinking tea, fingering prayer beads, walking mindfully, breathing between sky and earth, prostrating deeply before the Buddha, the heart not worrying about the past, not grasping at the future. Happiness in the present is the true meaning of life. So many people endure suffering upon suffering in the pursuit of fame and gain. Many times I have quietly observed life, looking without speaking, looking only to contemplate this human condition. Many appear outwardly prosperous, beautiful, joyful, yet inside is a wild and desolate garden of sorrow and loneliness. Within each person is a spiritual home. If we know how to cultivate joy and nourish that spiritual home, we will no longer fear the storms of life. Once there is a path, fear dissolves, as the Buddha taught. Among all forms of giving, the gift of fearlessness is the highest. To give someone freedom from fear is the most wonderful giving. It is time for me to practice living for myself. We feel lonely because we have not yet learned to truly live for ourselves. We still fear, still cling, still desire too much. Loneliness clings like a shadow drifting beneath the far horizon of illusory dreams. When lonely, listen to a piece of music, pluck a melody, paint a picture. Hold a brush and write a few words. Read a passage from the Heart Sutra, and you will rediscover your own heart. One who knows how to live for themselves will not feel fear, loneliness, or attachment. The Buddha teaches not to seek the past, not to imagine the future. The past is gone. The future has not yet arrived. Contemplate life in the present moment. The wise dwell peacefully, stable, and free. Live today, for tomorrow may be too late. Death comes suddenly and cannot be bargained with. Point one who dwells day and night in mindfulness is called by the sage, one who truly lives alone. Have you ever wondered, why do heaven and earth endure so long? Because heaven and earth do not exist for themselves. Why do sunlight and air endure? Because they give themselves completely to all beings. Offering oneself is the root of enduring existence. In our own life, there is the imprint of the universe's giving. Therefore, to repay life, we too must learn to offer and dare to offer ourselves to others and to the world. Have you ever asked yourself whether you are truly living or merely existing? Existing is like functioning as a program machine, but living is feeling the meaning of life through the smallest things. There are simple things we forget. Just pause for a minute to reflect, and their meaning becomes clear. Pause 1 minute to listen to the breath of nature, the sound of rain falling, the warmth of sunlight, bird song, or the rustle of leaves in the wind. Pause 1 minute to think about what you have done and what you have not. Pause 1 minute to speak with old friends. Even a short conversation can warm your own heart. Pause 1 minute to observe children playing. Are they not so innocent? Pause 1 minute to see how life around us is slowly changing. Pause 1 minute to remember those you love, to realize how important they are. Many of us only recognize the value of those we love when they're gone forever. Pause 1 minute to reflect that time never returns. And do not forget to pause 1 minute to return to yourself. Sometimes waking from the dream of life allows the mind to see clearly the shore of truth. Sometimes opening the heart lets us live with the present, finding happiness right here. There is a story. Once, a wealthy man possessed treasures beyond counting, yet each day his worries equaled his fortune. Next door lived a poor tofu maker and his wife. An old saying claims that 3 of the hardest trades are blacksmithing, rowing boats, and tofu making. But the couple lived joyfully, working with laughter and song from morning until night, their cheerful voices reaching the wealthy man. Point one day, the rich man's wife asked, "We have so much money, yet why aren't we as happy as that tofu-making couple?" The rich man said, "Tomorrow, they will no longer be able to laugh." Late that night, he secretly tossed a gold bar into their yard. The next morning, the neighbors were silent. They were busy scheming about the gold fallen from the sky. They believed they had struck fortune. The tiring, difficult tofu work was no longer necessary. But if they used the gold to start a business and failed, what then? If they did nothing, the gold would surely be used up. The husband wondered whether, if the business prospered, he should take a young, pretty concubine and leave his coarse, aging wife. The wife regretted marrying a poor tofu maker now that wealth had arrived. Just yesterday, they were joyful and harmonious. Yet today they could no longer speak kindly to each other. Sorrow began to consume them. What tormented them even more was why heaven did not drop a few more gold bars so they could fulfill all their desires. This story teaches that life itself is free of affliction. But when the fire of desire ignites, afflictions come knocking on the heart's door. Life is free of suffering. Yet when we calculate gain and loss, greed awakens and suffering wraps around us. In the end, the only one who can rescue us from suffering is ourselves. Life carries many burdens, but we can choose which ones we bear and which ones we put down. The only way to escape the entanglement of troubling nightmares is to awaken. The only way to forget all the misfortunes of human life is to let go. Some people stand between two shores and ask themselves countless times where they should return. Looking back and forth, their hair turns gray as they hesitate, drifting deeper into life's currents. People move in opposite directions, some upstream, some downstream. Two shores forever weighed down by worry and confusion point. One hand longs to hold the gates of the temple, while the other keeps tearing at worldly veils, indulging endlessly. Entering the mountains, they yearn for the bustling cities. Sitting in the city, they dream of moonlit peaks. Many times the knees grow weary, the feet grow thin, yet the soul is not tired and life remains intoxicating. The moment their eyes look toward the path of clouds, it is quickly obscured by the hands of worldly entanglements in the realm of birth and death. Now and then they ask themselves, when the heart has already understood the fate of becoming soil in a grave, why they still hesitate, lost between the banyan tree and the Bodhi tree, casting heavy shadows in the night. When impermanence suddenly calls one's name, what remains is only tears over old regrets. Had they not hesitated back then, perhaps they could have escaped life's many hardships, sinking deep into the mortal world because of fragile worldly debts. A small soul struggling before the river of illusions. Oh, how should one live when life is never as smooth as we wish? Below are the answers of wise teachers to help us find our direction in life.